Rob Gronkowski's decision came out of nowhere yesterday, even though we were watching and waiting and we knew there was a chance he was going to retire. From your perspective, when did you know that he was calling it quits?
I thought he was going to come back. I really thought he was going to come back. I remember talking to the Patriots and telling him I'm pretty sure he's coming back.
Wow.
That was just my guess because, Rob loves to play the game, and he finished the season so strong and he was healthy. At the end of the year, he got a quad injury in the Super Bowl, but he was relatively healthy. And it was great to see him get back to playing that way. So I thought he would come back. But as the time went by and, I'm talking to the Patriots and they're wanting to know what he was going to do. And I called Rob this week. I said, Rob, I think I'm not trying to pressure you, but I think it would be great to let them know so they can plan accordingly because you'd be a big loss. And Rob's response at that time was very lukewarm. It wasn't like, I'm leaning one way or the other. So that's when I had a feeling. Yep. But it wasn't until he called me yesterday. And it's one of those phone calls you never forget. I'm on the phone and I'm dreading it as he's telling me because it's so much fun to see him play.
Sure.
Just the fan, forget the agent, and just so much fun being involved with going to the games and being a part of his career. I'm going to miss that.
Yeah.
These 9 years have been extraordinary with him. There's only one Rob Gronkowski, so I was clinging to that. So I was like, Rob, are you sure? Is there anything I can do? Can I call the team? Can I talk to them about you taking the offseason off? Maybe taking it easy on you in training camp?
Yeah, right.
Perhaps
Jason Witten pitch count, something like that. Right.
He said, nah, Drew, this is it.
Yeah.
I've thought it through, and I'm ready for something else. I've had enough of football.
Ultimately, do you think it was just his body being beaten to hell that said enough is enough?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think last year, what people don't realize is Rob played with an Achilles injury.
Right.
He had a calf injury. He had a quad. He had a bulging disc. He's had 3 back surgeries. He had a bulging disc. I was worried that would lead to a 4th surgery. And for a lot of the season, he wasn't himself. And I think Rob is accustomed at playing at such a extraordinary level. I don't think it was very comfortable for him to play at a level that wasn't up to his standards.
Yeah, sure.
And so I think that was tough.
Did you have any discussions, Drew, with the Patriots about some sort of a reduced load, a pitch count, less practice time, save him for the postseason? Because he was the old Gronk again in the playoffs.
I did, yeah. And the team was very open to the concept of working with him.
Right.
And we got together with Coach Belichick last offseason to try and adjust some things to make it work for Rob. Because Rob considered walking away this time last year.
Well, that's what I was going to. How close was it last year to calling it quits?
Pretty close.
Yeah, it was.
Pretty close.
I think if they had won the Super Bowl last year, he would have retired.
Well said. That's a good point. It was at this time last year I was meeting with the team about Rob coming back, and he decided to come and do it. He went and he met with Coach Belichick right before the draft and made the commitment that he was coming back.
Yeah.
And I think you're right, Mike, winning the championship, because he said that to me yesterday. So, Drew, I won another championship. It's 3. The time's right.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have any set plans. There's going to be a lot of opportunities for him, whether it's a studio host, whether it's a sideline guy, a la Anthony Siragusa, what he used to do, fun stuff.
The Terminator, that's what we're calling for. We want him to be
we put up all the lines from the original Terminator. It's only 17 lines. He doesn't have to deliver much. They do a reboot of the original Terminator. All he has to say is, I'll be back, and off we go.
You know what? That would be awesome. I could see him doing a lot of things. He'll be very successful. He walked away from $10 million.
Yeah.
He walked away from $10 million. The Patriots obviously wanted him back. That was never a question. I'm just glad that he was in that position. What a credit to him. A lot of guys that I have, they play forever because they can't afford to walk away from that.
Right.
Thank God Rob has so many options that he can.
Yeah.
Does he still have all of his football money banked?
He does.
Wow.
It's a true story. Do
you? Me?
Yeah.
No. you met my wife. She's got expensive taste. I get taxed, and then I get double taxed by my wife.
No, he hasn't been married. He doesn't have any kids, and he's lived within his means. He really has. I think he's had the same vehicle. He's never been an extravagant guy, not with jewelry, clothing. you know, he's really lived within his means. I got to give his parents a lot of credit. And he's got older brothers that looked out for him, too.
So I got to ask you this question just because, like I stated earlier, you're so loved by your clients and you've had some real personalities.
I have.
Okay, so whether it was Warren Sapp, who I got to experience in person, who was the craziest personality of all, where you just look back at it and go, oh my gosh, that was fun, a handful, all of it.
Shockey was right at the top.
Shockey,
Jeremy Shockey,
I'm not
prime,
shocked.
was definitely one, but you'd have to give it to Rob.
Yeah, you give it to Rob.
Rob was definitely the most entertaining guy. I mean, just a breath of fresh air. Yeah. Always in a great mood, always funny. Even when times were tough coming up, most people don't realize all the adversity that Rob went through. I mean, he had an ACL, bad one, where he tore his ACL and MCL.
Right.
He had 3 surgeries on his back throughout his football career.
One in college.
One in college.
Right.
He had 4 on his forearm. That was almost a career-ending deal.
The staph infection.
The staph was scary.
Line, right? Yeah, that'll kill you.
This guy went through a lot. And that's what I'll remember most about Rob, the joy, the great personality, but also the toughness, the perseverance. This wasn't a walk in the park for him. I mean, he battled. What are we talking about? 9 surgeries?
Yeah, it's insane.
Yep.
You know, remarkable.
And never got jaded. Never lost his nature, never lost his love of the game, never always just went. That's what amazes me about football players. They get broken down, and they dedicate themselves to getting back to 100%, going back out into that fray knowing they're going to get broken down again and have to keep doing it over and over and over.
And Rob was a blue-collar guy. He never complained once about blocking. He would take on defensive ends. He would do all the dirty work. He was never a guy that was just all about. He never called me once and said, man, I'm not getting any catches. They're not throwing the ball to me. Never. Not in his entire career. He would go a whole game of blocking. He wouldn't have a different attitude as long as the team won.
Was he ever annoyed that, you know, in the last few years, like tight ends passed him up in yearly average, like salary? Because we used to talk about it. Like, it's crazy.
Definitely.
He did get annoyed. Okay, yeah.
Me more so than him.
Yeah,
I mean, you know, we did Rob's contract after his second year. It was very unique what the Patriots did. And he wasn't Rob Gronkowski, the Hall of Famer, after his second year. But we got a very lucrative extension, but we were always chasing the next contract because he was the best player.
Yeah.
So I think we renegotiated his deal 5 times. One year we got the Patriots to move money up. Every other year we got them to add incentives, just like last year. So it seemed like I was perpetually renegotiating Rob's contract with the Patriots, but they were great to work with. I mean, they recognized what a unique player he was, and we were always able to go back to the table and work stuff out for them.
Yeah. At his peak, he was, I believe, the most dangerous non-quarterback in the NFL.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.